It's Monday, January 13th. Here's what we're working on this morning. A deadly rollover has shut down part of the QEW in Oakville.
80 tiny shelters are expected to arrive in Hamilton.
And a 9-hour-long documentary about Prince may never see the light of day. Morning to you both.
Hello.
Not a good morning on the roads this morning, Brian.
Goodness, no, it's not. It is better now. Thankfully, the highway has opened up, which is good news because we did have a complete shutdown of the westbound QEW earlier this morning. It happened shortly after midnight, but at least right now things are getting back to normal because about 15 minutes ago the OPP opened up the westbound QEW. It happened around east of Burl Oak, and they closed it down at Bronte Road, so things are getting back to normal. Let me just give a brief look at the forecast for the day today. You know, we are on the plus side right now. +1 is our temperature at the moment, but temperature goes down throughout the day. We're going to hit -4 later on. And we're going to have a wind chill later on this afternoon about -13. And it is going to be really cold overnight tonight. And we'll talk about that coming up. But yeah, as far as the 403 is concerned, that looks really good right now. So nothing to see there, nothing in the Hamilton area. Go to that MTO traffic camera. As you can see, QEW east of Burl Oak is now opened up. That's approximately where the rollover happened. And it was a complete shutdown at Bronte. But just a few minutes ago, the highways opened up. So let's get more details right now. And we're joined by Simone Gavros. Simone?
Thanks, Brian. Well, OPP say that a 9-year-old boy from Hamilton has died following a single vehicle rollover on the QEW early this morning. Police say that the driver fell asleep behind the wheel after driving for a long distance. Now, the driver sustained minor injuries and the passenger has critical injuries. But as you mentioned, all westbound lanes on the QEW at Bronte in between Bronte and Burl Oak were closed at the time, but they are slowly reopening. But because of the backlog and the closures, there's a lot of traffic in and around this area, so definitely plan accordingly for that. Now, this crash happened shortly after midnight, and police posted a photo about it on X. You can see what looks to be a pickup truck in a ditch with its airbags deployed in the front seat. Now, this morning, OPP Constable Timothy Dunna says that he believes no one in this vehicle was wearing a seatbelt. 3 people were in the vehicle at the time, a father, son, and uncle, all from Hamilton. An off-duty nurse drove by and saw the event and assisted with CPR along with emergency officials. This is still an ongoing investigation. Collision Reconstruction Unit were on scene, and we did see a pickup truck, or someone was taking away the pickup truck on scene. So that is why the roads have reopened. But at this time, there are no details on what this means for charges. That's still all being investigated, and police are asking anyone with information to contact them. For now, I'll turn it back over to you.
Hey, thanks very much. That's Simone Gavros reporting for us from the phone from the vehicle on the QEW in Oakville. Well, a man was stabbed outside a downtown Hamilton nightclub over the weekend. He was taken to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Hamilton police say it happened early Saturday morning outside a club called And Then You on Main Street East. Police say there was a fight inside the bar that spilled outside where the stabbing took place. There's no word on arrests.
Well, after a delay last month, 80 tiny shelters are expected to arrive in Hamilton today. They will be placed in the Barton-Tiffany area where work has been ongoing. The project was approved back in September with the goal of opening by December. However, there were multiple delays with the shelters not arriving on time. Along with this tiny shelter community, the city is also creating 129 new temporary shelter beds. The city estimates as many as 1,600 people are homeless in the Hamilton area.
Parts of the Niagara Parkway at the Falls are going to be closed this week to test a new type of fireworks show. It'll be part of Niagara Park's new Flying Theater, which is set to open later this year. Niagara Park's Power Station and the Floral Showcase will also be closed. So these closures are going to be in effect from 3 this afternoon until 9 at night, and that's today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Niagara Parkway will be shut down to vehicles from Murray Street to the Rapids View parking lot, and there will be no pedestrian access to the falls in that area.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says that she met with incoming U.S. President Donald Trump over the weekend. She posted on social media about about a meeting with Trump and the key allies in the incoming administration at Mar-a-Lago. Smith says she will continue to engage in constructive dialogue and diplomacy and do all she can to further Alberta's and Canada's interest. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said in an MSNBC interview that while Trump's comments on Canada becoming the 51st state are flattering, it's never going to happen.
Anything that thickens the border between us ends up costing American citizens and American jobs. That's not what President Trump got elected to do. I know he got elected to try and make life easier for all Americans, to support American workers. These are things that are going to hurt them.
And Trudeau also says that Trump's idea of annexing Canada came up jokingly when they met at Mar-a-Lago back in November. He says he suggested Canada take over Vermont or California instead, and Trump quickly dropped the subject.
Well, a high-profile candidate is expected to officially enter the Liberal leadership race to replace Justin Trudeau sometime this week. Former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney is expected to launch his bid to replace the Prime Minister. Former BC Premier Christy Clark has said she's also debating putting her name forward, but told CBC Radio that she's disappointed with the race's short timeline. Hopefuls have until January 23rd to declare their candidacy, and the new leader will be announced March 9th, 2 weeks before the House of Commons returns. Well, former Prime Minister Jean Chrétien says Donald Trump should give his head a shake. In an opinion piece in Saturday's Globe and Mail, Chrétien responds to Trump's suggestion that Canada become the 51st state, writing, quote, "What could make you think that Canadians would ever give up the best country in the world and make no mistake that is what we are to join the United States?" End quote. Chrétien also had a message to leaders in this country and those aspiring to lead to start showing spine and toughness and to work together. Jean Chrétien, who was Prime Minister from 1993 to 2003, wrote the piece to celebrate his 91st birthday.
91! Wowzers!
That's still making an impact.
There you go. Happy belated, Mr. Prime Minister. Good stuff. All right, let's get into Sportsline on this Monday morning. Aussie Open kicked off down under this morning. Actually, started yesterday.
Almost slipped into that.
Almost, yeah. Don't worry. It goes for a couple of weeks. There's going to be lots of Australian accent talk here. There's 5 Canadians in the mix. 2 are already moving on. So you have Leila Fernandez. She moved on. And then just this morning, Felix Auger-Aliassime, he started off with a win. So we'll have more on that coming up at 7 because we're going to focus on Wild Card Weekend in the National Football League with all eyes around these parts in Orchard Park, where the Bills trying for a 5th straight wild card win against the Broncos.
Trying to go up top for it.
He wants to run for it, Jim. He wants to just go get it with his legs. He's trying to find
it. Wasn't there, so now he's got to throw it deep to the end zone. And was that caught? Yes!
Beautiful throw and catch. Bills QB Josh Allen would toss. Went to a diving Ty Johnson in the 4th quarter. As Buffalo would score 31 answered points after Denver took the early lead, they would finish that way. Actually, 31-7 would be the final. So Buff is back in the divisional round. They're going to host Lamar Jackson in Baltimore Sunday night in a battle of MVP candidates at Highmark Stadium.
The Washington Commanders off the upright, and it is in!
To the Sunday nighter from Tampa, where Washington kicker Zane Gonzalez 37-yard field goal attempt doinked off the upright and in for the game-winning score as the Commanders beat the Bucs 23-20 for their first playoff win since 2006. Washington now heads to Detroit to face the NFC's top-seeded Lions.
Throw it here, quick throw near side, good adjustment and a catch by Goddard, who runs over his man, still at his feet, and he scores!
Get out of my way. In Philly, a couple of stiff arms by Dallas Goedert will get him into the end zone, leading the Eagles to fly over the Packers in the NFC wildcard game 22-10. So that was one of 2 TDs by QB Jalen Hurts in the win. They will now await the winner of tonight's final wildcard game between the LA Rams and Minnesota Vikings. Remember, this game is from Arizona, so it had to be moved there because of the LA wildfires.
Taylor, after a ruling here,
got relief, got a good lie.
gonna have to put it in, and Taylor dumps it home at 18.
Oh, let's go to Hawaii, where BC's Nick Taylor would drain that eagle. Wonderful chip shot on 18 to force a playoff at the Sony Open, and he would finish the job against Nico Echeverria as he would roll in next to the cup in the playoff, and then for an easy taparoo for his 5th career PGA title, with the last 3 coming in a playoff. Much to the delight of his wife and 2 young kids. There they are. They were there in Hawaii. The win sends Taylor back to the Masters in April, where 3 other Canadians will be joining him. Okay, let's go to Finland for the under-18 Women's World Hockey Championships, where Canada and the U.S. faced off in the gold medal game. No score until the second, when St. Catharines native Callie Tiller breaks the deadlock on the power play right there. Tiller, who plays for the Burlington Barracudas, scored her 4th goal of the tourney. Turns out that's all they need. That's the winning goal. The red and white would take it 3-0. They take home the gold medal. What a tournament for their captain, Chloe Primavera, who's from North Vancouver. She gets the championship trophy. She tied the great Marie-Philippe Poulin for most points at the U18 Worlds. She had 26 points in this tournament. Craziness. And you might see many of those players from the U18 playing in the PWHL down the road. And speaking of that, Toronto Scepters trying to stop an awful start to their season in New Jersey. No score in overtime when Georgetown's Sarah Fillier, long outlet pass to Jesse Eldridge. Seemed to be offside, but I don't know, they reviewed it and it stood. That was your winning goal, 1-0 the final. Scepters dropped the 3rd straight game as they sit in the basement of the P-Dub. And finally, not a good finish to the weekend for the Ice Dogs in Niagara. They were down 5-0 to last place Peterborough on home ice. Heading into the 3rd, they did make it respectable. Andre Lashko would score twice. Hey, he's got 6 goals in his last 3 games, 27 on the season. Niagara, they sit 1st in the Eastern Conference. They get a bit of a break as they don't play again until Saturday when they host North Bay.
Good morning. Coming up on 12 minutes after 6 o'clock, it's the 13th morning of January, Monday again. Yeah, here we go. All right, let's get you into traffic first of all. 403 Waterdown Road, that's our camera, doing fine. Nothing to see there, nothing in the Hamilton area. Let's go to our MTO traffic cameras, where we did have a problem earlier, and this was a huge problem. This is the QEW east of Burl Oak. We had a rollover involving a fatality there. OPP completely closed the highway at Bronte. Everybody westbound, that is Fort Erie bound, heading away from us, had to get off the highway. They had talked about having it closed throughout the day, which would have really impacted the situation through Burlington and Oakville, but they have just opened it up, so things are getting back to normal there. Back into St. Catharines, Garden City Skyway, nothing. Centennial Parkway, all the way through. Well, Fairview's a little bit busier now. Quick check of Cawthra, not a problem. We do have some light snow at the moment, so that could cause some greasy or slippery roads, particularly in outer areas where the traffic isn't quite so heavy. Could still be fairly slippery. Temperature has fallen and will continue to fall throughout the day today. We're sitting at -1 right now. Look at that wind, southwest 33 to 45. That makes it feel like -8 at the moment. Some light snow flurry activity. That's what we're looking at for the day today. Cloudy with flurries. Temperature will fall to -4 with a wind chill of -13 later on. The reason is that cold front. That is the blue line. That represents the cooler air, colder air, flooding across southern Ontario. Some areas are going to get some lake effect snow flurry activity. Niagara could get some today, but generally it's just going to be flurries. So temperatures today, this is where the temperatures will be going later on. Anywhere from -3 to -4 for the Horseshoe, bit better for Toronto, but colder away from the lake at -6. As I said, wind chill -13. Look at tonight's temperatures, -7 to 10, -12 for Brantford. Wind chill values down around -20. It's going to be a very cold night tonight, with just a few flurries in some areas. Tomorrow, again, chance of flurries, but a much colder day tomorrow, -5 to -7, -8, and -10 degrees. We'll see a bit of sunshine, but once again, some areas could get some flurries. So out the door this morning, it is windy. The winds have really picked up, and they're shifting around to the west. We got some light snow at the moment. Temperature -1, wind chill of -8. And that temperature will continue to sink. And we'll look at the long-range forecast coming up. Annette, Tim.
Okay, we'll also say good morning to Emily. She is back after the break.
Whole gang back together again.
Yeah, and we've got what's coming up in Chit Chat. We'll also take a closer look at how U.S. and Canada job numbers really influence trading on both sides of the border.
Well, look who's
Holy
back.
smokes.
Hi.
When was the last time we saw each other?
I still work here.
Yeah.
It was before Christmas.
Well, because then you were here during Christmas.
That's the thing. You guys were
And
not.
we were off.
We were
I
off.
was.
And then you were off for a bit. So, hey, missed you. How are you?
Hi, I know. I missed you guys too. Things have been good. I'm doing a lot of home renovation, and even my fingers hurt.
So you're happy to be back at work.
I am actually. Like, this is like a break. My whole body hurts.
I remember those days.
Back at work, and I look pretty again. I'm like, whoa, this is good. All right, coming up, we've got a couple of highly anticipated animated movies will now be released at a later date. And an Oscar-winning filmmaker has made a 9-hour Netflix documentary on the late music legend Prince, but it may never be shown. And later this morning, Halle Berry is giving back to those in need in LA amid the ongoing wildfires.
That's still going on. Okay, so we'll see you at the couch in a bit.
I'll be there.
Okay. Canadian dollar and overseas trading this morning is down 3 basis points at 69.31 cents U.S. Gold has lost $8.10. Crude oil is up just over $1 to $77.60 a barrel. Midday trading in Europe, markets are down in London, Frankfurt, and Paris.
Up to Asia we go. Markets were down in Tokyo and Hong Kong, actually, and Shanghai as well. What about North American markets? Last week, they ended the trading week with some losses. Big losses, triple-digit losses. Wowzers. Oh, schmokers. Bay Street down 305. Look at the Dow Jones, almost down 700 basis points. NASDAQ, it was off as well. Let's see if they can rebound as we kickstart a new week on this Monday, January the 13th.
Okay, and here's the reason for those triple-digit losses on both Bay and Wall Streets on Friday. It follows the latest labor market reports. In Canada, 91,000 jobs were added in December, lowering the unemployment rate to 6.7%. But the Canadian markets were impacted by U.S. equities reacting to their own job numbers. U.S. economy added 256,000 jobs, dropping the unemployment rate in that country to 4.1%. There are expectations now that the U.S. Federal Reserve may scale back its planned interest rate cuts for 2025 because a stronger economy could prompt fewer cuts than projected.
Well, some of the fastest growing jobs in 2025, they revolve around 2 letters. I bet you can guess. Yeah. AI. Employment-focused platform Locked In looked at millions of jobs based on user information from 2022 to 2024. The top 2 jobs were artificial intelligence engineer and artificial intelligence consultant. Following that, physical therapist, workforce development manager, and travel advisor.
A Canada Post price increase announced last fall goes into effect today. So stamps purchased in booklets, a roll, or sheets jumps 25%. From 99 cents to $1.25. The price of a single stamp increases from $1.15 to $1.44. Canada Post says the price hike is not related to the strike by members of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. A stamp price hike is expected to bring in about $80 million this year at a time when letter delivery has dropped significantly.
Let's go to China because the trade there saw the nation's exports in December grow at a faster pace than expected, even as factories rush to fulfill orders before trade tariffs with the U.S. drive up operational expenses. Chinese exports, they grew 10.7% compared to the same time last year, beating estimates by about 7%. So Donald Trump has pledged to impose 10% tariffs on Chinese goods and close some loopholes that exporters use to sell their products more cheaply in the U.S. If enacted, his plans would likely raise prices in the States and squeeze sales and profit margins for Chinese exporters.
Meta is ending its diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. In a company-wide memo, the owner of Facebook and Instagram told employees that some people believe that the DEI programs give preferential treatment of certain groups over others. Meta says it will now focus on hiring the most talented people without considering race, gender, or other characteristics. This change comes from pressure from conservative groups in the United States and some Meta users. Critics say it's another example of how Meta is catering to the right after Donald Trump won November's election.
It's a week today that he gets inaugurated in Washington. All right, off and running on your Monday morning. It was a busy start on the roads. Deadly crash of the QEW. It has reopened. Brian has that, and a look at your 7-day after this.
6:24. Hey, good morning. It's Monday. Yeah, Monday again. Let's get you into traffic here this morning. Here's the QEW. Well, pardon me. Here's the tunnel. This is the west portal, and so things are doing fine through the tunnel there. Nothing to see. Top of the Burlington Skyway Bridge. This is Toronto-bound traffic coming towards us, moving okay. Appleby line looks good. Thankfully, the problem that we had on the westbound lanes of the QEW going past Bronte to Burlow, they have now cleared. So that is good news. Sheridan, not a problem. The 403, 407 split in Mississauga looks pretty good. Now, be careful this morning because we do have some light snow flurry activity at the moment. Could cause some slippery roads in the area. -1 is our temperature in Hamilton. Last hour we were +1, but the temperature has dropped and will continue to drop today. -1 right now, wind chill about -8 because those winds are strong. 0 for Grimsby, 1 Mississauga, +2 for Toronto. So we'll talk about seasonal temperatures. -2 for the daytime high, -10 now for the overnight low. That's dipped a bit. Sun times and records for the day today. And for school today, we're going to dip to -3 for the first bell and then continue to fall to -4 for after school. Cloudy with flurries on and off throughout the day. A wind chill later on today of about -13. So that wind is going to stay strong and the temperature falls to those values. So -9 overnight tonight, depending on where you are. Wind chills could be -18 to -20. It's going to be cold. -7 tomorrow, so a colder day. Wind chill of -20. And yeah, those winds are going to stay strong from the west, and we'll get some snow flurry activity. Again, flurries, -4 for Wednesday. Temperature starts to moderate a bit for Thursday, and then 0 and +1 as we get toward the next weekend. That's your forecast. Annette, Tim.
Okay, we've got a nice story now. It's an update of a story about a Hamilton teen who pulled a man out of a tent that had caught fire.
Let me show you this photo. It was posted on social media where Cathedral High School student Zeke Fox, there at the hat, met the man that he saved last week. So the man's name is Sean, and the post says that he wanted to meet Zeke just as much as Zeke wanted to see him. The post reads, Sean was extremely grateful for Zeke's intuition and bravery. They chatted for over an hour with Sean sharing his story. Well, Zeke listened on.
Now, Zeke Fox had been driving home from a friend's house a week ago last night. When he saw the fire at Hamilton's Bayfront Park, after calling his parents, he rushed into the tent and pulled Sean to safety.
17?
17 years old.
To be able to do that. Now, listen, that is a dangerous situation, and it did work out because he did save Sean's life. But good for him, for a 17-year-old to be able to do that. And yeah. There's lots of news out there that isn't good. Like this morning, a deadly crash in the QEW that Simone is following for us. QEW is back open, as Brian was saying, but we'll have more on that and all your other news to get a new week started on this January the 13th.